everyone. Welcome. We are coming to you live from Newegg Studios in Southern California. This is Newegg Now. I'm Trisha Hirschberger.
I'm Juan Bagnell. The internet is melting down. Twitter is offline. This is not a drill.
I know. I used for the first time in my life the Instagram story feature where it does the flames and like the death metal music all around you. Just to tell the world that Twitter was down.
That Twitter was down.
But only because we were like, hey, the show's going live.
We should probably tweet it.
Just kidding.
Oh, so for the rest of the internet, thank you for joining us today because we're on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. I'm pretty sure we're on Mixer. I'm seeing some Mixer chat.
Yeah.
Hold Geoduck just sent us a chat on Mixer. So thank you for joining us wherever you're happening to watch this live stream.
Yes, and on today's show, we obviously are going to want to hear from you because that's the whole point of doing it live. Our lovely audience out there. So the best place to be if you want to talk to us is really the YouTube chat because we have that here, but also we will see your comments wherever else you are. So we're watching you Twitch, we're watching you Mixer. We've got eyes on all the different streaming platforms.
Sorry, Periscope, Twitter is down.
Sorry, Periscope, not you, but everybody else. We love you very much, and we can see your chat. So yeah, if you are unsure where to watch, YouTube's a great place, but really wherever you are is perfect. So today we have a variety of topics to talk about, including AMD CPUs, AMD GPUs, NVIDIA GPUs, and auto battlers.
Qua?
Yes, auto battlers.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's so I'm excited to learn what an auto battler is. We got our show notes ahead of time. I was trying to look it up, and you're like, we're just going to have an expert come on and talk to us about that. So we got something called Teamfight Tactics is suddenly one of the biggest games in the world. But we're going to save that for a little later on in the show. We've got our attention locked on right now. All of the crazy news in the PC component world. A lot of breaking news has been unfolding, stories that we've been trying to keep tabs on. Yeah. And we recently, we hosted a video here in Newegg Studios asking our viewers about this very question. So why don't we check that out real quick? We'll be right back here talking about the new landscape, the shifting landscape of CPU and GPU wars. So let's check that out. Hey Newegg viewers, Juan Bagnell here with another viewer video poll. Obviously, the hot thing right now in the world of tech, all of AMD's new hardware. From Ryzen 3000 to the Navi GPUs, I'm sure a lot of folks out there are planning on going full Team Red for their next build. And I might have done that, but I had to replace my Franken PC sooner than that. So I've got kind of a mix and match thing going on, which is exactly what we want to talk about in this video. There are a lot of hardware configurations out there and a ton of good reasons for going with any one of those particular combinations. So we want to know, we want to hear from you, what CPU and GPU combo are you planning for your next rig and why? We could go AMD GPU plus AMD CPU. It's pretty much the only way to go if you want to harness PCIe 4 speeds in the near future. Ryzen 3000, Radeon 5700s, both looking to offer great price to performance ratios. It's just too bad that the first wave of X570 motherboards look like they might be a bit on the spendy side. We could go AMD CPU plus NVIDIA GPU, and who can argue that a Threadripper and an RTX would be a bad idea? I certainly cannot. This is definitely the best of both worlds route, especially for creative professionals that need an absolutely ridiculous workstation and also they want to have a little fun on the side. We could go Intel CPU plus NVIDIA GPU. Okay, so you're avoiding Team Red. We get it. The AMD hype after Computex and E3 is pretty real, but we haven't seen any independent benchmarks on Ryzen 3000. Plus, if we learned anything from E3, it's that we're soon to reach a critical mass of games that'll finally make ray tracing worth the investment. Or, I don't know, maybe you just have a Mac. So we could also go Intel CPU plus AMD GPU. Intel CPUs have been solid for years. We don't see that changing. Plus, Intel is making strides with its own proprietary technologies, namely Optane. So despite some fierce competition, there's no reason a reliable, tried and true Intel CPU can't play nice with a budget-friendly AMD GPU.
Of course, as so often happens around here, the moment we released that video, a whole lot changed.
Everything changed.
Because before AMD actually launched their new GPUs, NVIDIA came out with their new RTX Super line. These new cards include the 2060 Super, the 2070 Super, and the 2080. That's right, you guessed it. Super. These new cards are each significant improvements over their non-super predecessors, with huge jumps in CUDA cores, speeds, and real-time ray tracing performance.
I have a hard time not taking it to Dana. Super. Every time I
think
see
you should do that every time you talk about it.
Every single time, I won't do that. We have all of these new cards. Just to, I'm sure if you're watching this live stream, you're probably into some of this techie PC building stuff. But to make some sense of the way that these all stack up, there are some early benchmarks out for both the new AMD and NVIDIA options, comparing those. This is how we've been finding it roughly to shake out. If we have the 2060 Super on the NVIDIA side, is roughly on par with AMD's new 5700. The 5700 might be a little behind in terms of performance and some of the benchmarks on specific games, but it's cheaper.
Yes.
So when you go a tier up, it's kind of the same thing. The 2070 Super is edging out the 5700 XT by a little bit, but again, the 5700 XT is cheaper.
Yep, and then above that, you have AMD's Radeon 7, maybe, though NVIDIA's 2080 Super and 2080 Ti each exceed it in performance, and AMD's own 5700 XT almost matches the Radeon 7 for about $300 less. Early 2070 Super metrics show it hitting numbers just shy of the 1080 Ti, which is still a really powerful card on its own.
And of course, with all these numbers, you have to keep in mind the specific game matters a lot because different games are obviously optimized differently.
Yes.
And if you have a few games that you play more than any other titles, look around for benchmarks for those games specifically. If you're looking at the GTX versus the RTX lines, AMD versus NVIDIA, ray tracing versus not having future support for ray tracing, if that's something important to you, there's a lot to fight on between these two cards.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, like, we've said this numerous times before. It's just really exciting when we've got good competition.
I know. It's better for the consumer. So that's the new graphics card landscape. But of course, AMD also released their new third-generation Ryzen CPUs. And we got a whole bunch of X570 motherboards to go with them. Like, seriously, there's like 40 new boards with multiple options from every vendor that you could ever want.
It's so great. Again, I always have that hypothesis when you have sort of a new label or a new brand.
Yeah.
It's around third generation that the ecosystem starts taking it really seriously. And I think AMD has really lived up to that sort of third gen.
Yes.
There are more motherboards from a single manufacturer than all of the motherboards that were launched for Ryzen 1. So this is good. This is a good time. If you're interested in this topic, you should go back. Earlier on in the week on Monday, we did a sit-down conversation with JJ from ASUS. And so obviously we were talking about some of ASUS's strategy for supporting X570 and all the motherboards that they have out. But the whole first half of that 2.5-hour live stream is breaking down everything that's going into AMD's new design strategy, the new chiplets, the new memory mesh, PCIe 4, and how that plays with all of the improvements to the X570 platform.
Yeah.
It's a JJ live stream. A ton of information.
It's gonna be long.
And if you want to dig deep, we dig deep. I always love those conversations with JJ for his ability to just off the cuff, like, well, yeah, let me tell you about everything and down to these memory timings.
It's a super interesting conversation.
It's a great conversation.
Just allocate the time.
And unfortunately, you didn't get the whole hour and a half before the live stream that I got to sit down and pick his brain as we were going through that. So, short story long, Ryzen 3000, AMD came to play. And we're already seeing evidence that there's good headroom on this generation. So these week one benchmarks are going to improve as we get a better handle on this new hardware, as motherboard BIOS updates come out, as patches for Windows come out.
Right.
It seems like this is going to be one of those parts that gets better over time, which is really exciting.
Now, if you're in the market for any of this new hardware, you'll want to check out the links in the description below this video, or maybe different depending where you're watching. But that will take you to the correct places to find the new gear from AMD and NVIDIA.
Yep.
Unfortunately, because there's so much demand for these new parts, supplies are limited, and many models were sold out on day one.
real fast.
Real fast. Yeah, Newegg was one of the only places to get new AMD CPUs on launch day, and there was a ton of hype around the launch, which was amazing. But remember that you can always click that auto notify button on the Newegg product page, and then you'll get an email as soon as more stock is available.
It's good times. I woke up to a whole bunch of tweets like, oh, I should have stayed up late because everything is sold out now.
Everything's sold out.
Don't let it happen to you, folks. So everything has changed with CPUs and GPUs now, right? It's a really exciting time to be planning a PC build. Maybe you've been holding off on some upgrades. So we want to check in on what some of the comments were on that YouTube poll, what people had to say, and what their plans were for the future for making their own super awesome fancy computers for the gaming and the whatnot.
Yeah, and thank you so much to everybody that left comments and joined in on that conversation.
Yeah.
Some of our favorites that we pulled out, one was from Chris Hollingsworth, who said AMD 3900, 3950 when it drops, RTX 2080. Now this comment was before the supers were announced,
Right.
So I wonder if maybe these plans have changed.
I mean, if he was budgeting for a 2080, he's roughly in the same price envelope for some of the supers, or maybe save a little cash.
Maybe.
So Phil C says AMD 3950X with dual 1080 Ti's. I already have the 1080 Ti's and looking forward to the new Ryzen CPUs. I added the little sotto voce. I'm pretty sure that's how he meant to type it.
Yeah. That's what parentheses mean.
Yeah,
In YouTube
totally.
comments, right? Mateus Rodriguez said Asus.
I think he means ROG.
ROG, yeah. Asus ROG X570 ROG Crosshair 8 Formula motherboard, Ryzen 9 3950X, ROG Matrix RTX 2080 Ti.
I'm feeling like Mateus might like Asus products.
Which is fine.
I'm getting that
well,
sense,
and maybe after hearing JJ talk for 2.5 hours, you're sold.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
definitely. Let's see. I'm going to say this is Pack Pony T47.
Okay.
PKPNY T47.
I like it,
I think
Pack Pony.
it's Pack Pony.
Yeah.
AMD Ryzen 9 3800X and an RTX 2080 Super. I think that would be a pretty killer combo.
I'm just drooling over the thought of all of these.
I know,
As so
right?
often happens when we host the show, after the show, I'm woefully aware of how badly my rig is in need of an upgrade. So thank you for all of these.
To wrap us up on the comments from the video, I Play Games 360 said, just put the two most powerful and expensive ones together.
You know.
And I'm pretty sure this is how he talks with the hand waving.
No, but honestly, when you are, for me at least, when I am in tech dreamscape mode, why not?
Staple.
Right?
So what are you currently on? You're on an 8700K? Is that
No. I'm on an 8700K with a 1080 Ti.
1080 Ti?
Yep.
Because that's still a killer combo.
It is. No, it's really good. And it does almost everything that I need it to do, with the exception of running more recent high-end AAAs at the same time as streaming them off the same rig.
Yes.
Which is pretty demanding, so
Yeah.
understandably so.
Now, do you ever employ, because I mean, you've got this really slick little Alienware. Do you ever use that as like a streaming computer to run the game off?
Nope.
You don't get that fancy?
Nope. I have older rigs that I probably could upgrade.
Right.
And if I wanted to have a 2 PC streaming setup, I just, it hasn't been built into my weekly time management. So it's never happened, nor have I used this with my streaming PC, but that certainly would be a solution if I wanted to do that.
And so on the YouTube chat, we also have a comment here from Alex Medvedev. I'm on board the new AMD hardware, but I'm skipping this gen GPUs. 1080 Ti is still more than capable.
Right?
I just like, this is such a glorious overlap time too.
Yeah.
So I went, in talking about my vote for the poll was AMD chipset with NVIDIA GPU.
Yeah.
So my Threadripper build has an NVIDIA.
I could have guessed that that
Yeah.
would have been your vote.
Ended up being my jam, but I'm very curious about what an all-team red build would be like on PCIe 4.
Maybe.
I just retired Frankenbox. I don't need to rebuild Project Asteria. So it's clear there's a lot of love for the new AMD hardware out there.
Yep.
That's what our overall poll results showed. 46% of people said they were planning an AMD CPU with an NVIDIA GPU. 30%. This is the one that blew my mind. Obviously second place, but 30% said AMD and AMD.
AMD has been killing it lately, both with the
baby.
price points and the performance. So it's not surprising that there are people converting to the all AMD camp.
Yeah, the Intel CPU builds only got 19 and 3% of the vote totals, which is pretty crazy considering how dominant Intel has been over these last couple years and how much ground AMD has made up from second gen Ryzen to third gen Ryzen. This 1 year life cycle, I mean, just huge for mind share in the PC building community.
I was laughing at Theo Yells in the Twitch chat, says, waiting for Intel's revenge. I mean, we kind of all are. It'll be better for all of us. The more competition, the better.
That was my favorite comment. I talked about this obviously on my own personal podcast too, and it's actually been really exciting that unlike some of the other, like Mac versus PC or Apple versus Samsung kinds of fights, how many of my Intel favoring friends are excited about this too?
Yeah.
Because they know, they've been holding off on some upgrades too, but they know if they're looking at an Intel chipset in 2020 as an upgrade, that Intel has to bring something cool to the table.
Which is exciting.
That is good news. So even if you're kind of playing that game with your on the other side of the fence friends, they pick different hardware components than you do, that's still a reason to be excited because we know there's going to be a response.
Yes. Huzzah! All right, so moving on from hardware to gaming, let's talk about 2019. The year's more than half over now, if you can even believe it.
It's too fast.
Right, and it can be tough to get a real perspective on trends while you're stuck right in the middle of them.
Yes.
So we asked the question, what is 2019 going to be known for when it comes to gaming? Are we still living in the era of Battle Royale games, or was that more of like a 2018 thing and 2019 will be known for something else? So we asked that question in a recent video on our channel, and let's take a quick look at that.
Hey everyone! Today we're going to talk about what's on the gaming horizon for 2019. Now obviously 2020 is on everyone's mind after E3, as some of the most exciting games were announced for next year, and I will definitely be broke, but there's a big discussion to be had about 2019 before it's over. And that discussion is, what was 2019 for gaming? 2013 was the year of the MOBA, with League of Legends hitting peak popularity. 2014 was the year of the online card game with Hearthstone's launch. 2015 was the year of the RPG, with The Witcher 3, Undertale, Bloodborne, and Fallout 4 all coming out. 2016 had Overwatch and Pokemon Go. 2017 started the Battle Royale craze, and 2018 spiked it to new heights. But a few years from now, when we look back at 2019, what will that be known for? Battle Royale games are still some of the most popular in the world. Fortnite still dominates Twitch. Apex Legends came out this year, Fallout 76 Battle Royale. Then there's the recent rise of auto battlers. Auto chess, Dota Underlords, Teamfight Tactics, a whole bunch of mobile games. Could auto battlers be the next big thing? Loot shooters are making a comeback. Borderlands 3, Anthem, and Division 2 out this year. Major updates to Destiny 2 as well. So what game genre will define 2019? Will it be Battle Royales, auto battlers, loot shooters, or I don't care as long as it's not Fortnite?
Yeah, those are some of the top contenders out there. I mean, for the genre crown of 2019, Battle Royale games, of course, they're not going anywhere. Looter shooters, Destiny 2, I'm very excited for Borderlands 3. But the genre you might not be as familiar with. I was a little less familiar with. I don't know, were you?
Me too, to be fair, yeah.
Okay, I'm a little off the pulse. Auto battlers, a genre that has come out of nowhere to rise to the top of Twitch in the recent months.
Yeah, so joining us here in the studio to talk about auto battlers, we have Aaron, one of the newest additions to the Newegg team. Welcome, Aaron.
Glad to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm really excited to kind of help us break some of this down.
Sure, yeah.
We even tried to have a conversation off camera, just like cluing us in, and I don't know that you got very far with me.
Yes,
No,
so
it's-
help us.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Thank you, by the way, for calling me an expert earlier. That was very generous of you. Yeah, so auto battlers, the best way I could kind of compare them to people that have been following the gaming scene for a while is, do you remember when Battle Royale first came around? It was just like this new idea It was a type of FPS that hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to that. There is mechanics that it shares from other games, but essentially it's sort of like a drafty kind of game where you draft pieces off a board that are randomly assigned to you. You manage your gold to buy the right team comps. You work with synergies, and it's all about just outsmarting everyone else in the game. It's a last man standing kind of game, kind of like battle royales, but it's like this weird hybrid between chess and draft card games and RTSs. It's a very unique game.
Now you're saying all things that I like so far.
Yes.
But I have to ask, are these mostly free-to-play titles, and is there a pay-to-win mechanic?
They are all free, and at least so far, no pay-to-win mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can buy with a microtransaction is your little avatar, which in each game, the name of it changes. Like in the Dota version, it's a courier, which is familiar to anyone who's played Dota. In the Teamfight Tactics version, it's called a little legend. It's just this cute little fuzzy creature thing that runs around your map for you. Those are the only things you can buy with microtransactions, and they don't impact the game at all.
Great.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things as I was looking up, trying to write some notes out for the show. That to me becomes one of the bigger concerns. Is
And it always is.
as this play style becomes popular, because there's so much that I'm already very interested in. This idea of sort of a Hearthstone board game, turn-based strategy, kind of stapled together. All of those definitely appeal to me. I get very precious about the notion of I'm going to invest a lot of time. I want to kick the developers some cash. I will spend on some of these things that don't affect gameplay, and then maybe I slow play it for a while, come back and find, oh, well, if you want meta, this is what happened with the meta, and now
you have to buy it.
Now you have to buy it.
Right.
So,
And that's always definitely a big concern with games nowadays. Microtransactions, in my opinion, are only really bad if they affect the game, and how well you perform at the game.
Right.
But right now, it seems innocent enough. So let's hope it stays that way.
Okay, how bad's the RNG? Like when you're playing, how much of it depends on luck?
So it's not quite as bad as games like Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where you can formulate this whole deck, and then if you don't pull the right
Never
cards,
draw the
your
card.
strategy's just shot.
Right.
In these auto battle games, you can work towards a specific team comp, and if you're just not getting the piece you need to finish it, it's perfectly within your capabilities to just scrap everything and start over with something you are getting.
Okay.
So even though there is an RNG mechanic, it always feels like there's a way to outsmart the RNG, if that makes sense. So,
or there's at least the ability to recover.
Yes.
I know, again, Trisha makes fun of me, but I spend a lot of time trying to find good mobile games, which is often a very losing strategy.
Yeah. There's some good ones.
But when you find some of these properties that you really enjoy, like there are a few things that you're talking about here where I was looking at like a Marvel Future Fight, but if you're doing PvP, if you're off from the very beginning of your little trio of Marvel characters fighting another, there's no recovery. You're dead. You've lost that match. And that to me is the mark of a good random mechanic. It should be kind of like a board game. You roll the die, and that obviously has influence over your move.
That's a good way to put it.
But if you can't recover from a change in your strategy, then that to me is not really a game worth playing.
And there's definitely recovery.
Nice.
So the game kind of works where every player starts with 100 health. And when you're randomly pitted against another player, if you lose to that player, your health decreases based on how many pieces they have left on the board when you lose.
Gotcha.
And I've had many, many games where I'll have single-digit health points left, and I'll be able to come back and place in the top 3.
Oh, see, I love, especially if there's like an underdog mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
A come from behind. You can eke out
You
a
actually
win.
get more gold in most of these games if you're on a loss streak. So it like gives you tools to try to come back into the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that
now,
a lot.
My main questions for you, Aaron, and also for the chat, are if someone like me who has not gotten into the auto battler craze was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a try. You said turn-based strategy, and those are magic words for me. Are there certain titles that you would recommend might grab people's attention more just being new to this genre?
Sure. So now's a really good time to get in because it's all new.
Yeah.
Right.
And right now, any of the titles that you pick up, they don't have that many units to memorize or items to memorize, so it's like kind of easy to get used to everything that's going on. I imagine if it does stick around, hopefully it does. If it does stick around in a couple years when there's like way more games with way more units, like it's going to be way harder to memorize then. Right now, I would say any one you choose is going to be good. And there are 3 big games that you can pick from. There's the original Auto Chess,
Okay.
which was it was the custom game mode for Dota 2 that Newegg Studios put together.
Nice.
That was the one that started everything in January. And then the next one that came out, which was very recently, was Dota Underlords, which is Valve's official version,
Sure.
which they basically
Right.
said,
Like they do.
that's a good
Yeah.
idea. Maybe we
Let's-
should actually do this ourselves.
We'll do it our own.
Yeah. Which happens within this circle of games all the time.
Yeah.
And then on the exact same note, Riot Games, the company that did League of Legends, which
Yeah.
was originally a mod from Warcraft called Dota 1, they have their own one called Teamfight Tactics. All 3 of these games are pretty well fleshed out. Really good changes are happening to them all the time.
Yeah.
You can't really go wrong. They have subtle differences that you might prefer over one or the other, but they're all good.
Okay, and I had asked about free-to-play and microtransactions, which I think might make people think that these are all mobile games, but that's not the case, right?
Not the case. So Newegg Studios, their original Auto Chess, they did turn into a mobile version, and then Dota released Underlords as both PC and mobile. Teamfight Tactics so far has not made it to mobile at all.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's all
So-
PC.
Yes, it's on. All of these are on PC, and that's where it all started. And then it honestly makes a lot of sense as a mobile game.
Yeah.
And if you try to play it, like it flows really well. The UI doesn't feel smushed at all.
Right.
It plays well. But yeah, I hope Teamfight Tactics makes it to mobile because, like you said, finding a good mobile game can be difficult.
helps, right?
But yeah, but Underlords is there and it's very good.
Yeah.
Auto Chess is there and it's very good. So yeah.
Well, and we also got a comment here from the T-Boys in the Twitch chat. Dragon Age Heroes, something that's already sort of veering into that auto battler territory. Do you think that this is going to have the same kind of expandability where, you know, we say battle royale, that becomes a trend, it's a buzzword. Every studio tries to rush out their flavor on that. Is this something that you kind of see happening in the same direction for auto
Absolutely.
battlers?
I think that the ecosystem surrounding these games is going to capture a lot of the old people that played MOBAs.
Nice.
I think it's battle royales were for everyone that had grown up playing and that were younger and could experience it now. The Call of Duty,
Yeah.
all the old FPSs, the original Counter-Strike games. These are the more slow-paced, strategic types of games where I think it'll capture the audience that liked the MOBAs and the RTSs back when they were at peak popularity. I think there's definitely a strong possibility that developers will start sort of trying to insert this into their games. I would be surprised if Blizzard didn't at some
Yeah.
point, and it would just go full circle.
Auto Battler Lite, brought to
Yes.
you by Blizzard.
I'm hoping because Warcraft 3's remaster is coming out.
Yes.
I'm hoping there will be an official auto battle game mode in that. That would be really cool.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, friends at Blizzard.
Please,
Hope,
Blizzard.
hope, hope. Well, because I love old school RTS. I mean, just been a huge fan of the Command and Conquer series.
Absolutely.
But I almost cried when I picked up EA's mobile version because it was
Yeah.
just so hammered with cooldown clocks and loot box mechanics and just this is not. There's a gem of a good game in here, but that's not Command and
You
Conquer.
got to
That's not my
wade through
trial.
a whole lot. Yeah, to
So
get there.
much crap.
Audible eye roll from this side of the couch.
Right. And so I keep looking at things like how joyous it would be to find something like an Advanced Wars
yeah.
and bring modern gameplay mechanics into that. So
sure.
that's my hope, is to see sort of a proliferation of this style. I like a little random. It's not that I hate on RNG. It's that I hate on random.
Little random's good.
A little random is good, but when it's the hard barrier that encourages you to spend money and throw it into a wood chipper, which then has a random component slot machine, component to me, that's like the instant eject button. Yeah, and I want to be out.
Deal breaker for you. Well, and then I wonder too, how much are we going to see of the auto battler genre on the competitive scene?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting question. And I actually recently, for a piece for Game Crate, I spoke to Team Liquid's owner and CEO, Steve, about that exact topic. And right now, I think the general consensus is that it's way too early to tell.
Yeah.
There's obviously a competitive nature to it. Just the whole last man standing, it's exclusively PvP. There's definitely like that innate competitive nature to the game. But to see it reach some sort of tournament status or esports, that remains to be seen, because you've had two different ways that esports come up in games. Either it grows naturally and the community of a game sort of starts it on their own,
right,
or the game is made with that in mind. These games are not made with that in mind.
Gotcha.
And I think that if they do blossom into that, it might start as sort of like a money match type of deal, like FGC.
Could there be like a World Series of Poker style,
like
showdown kind of mechanic built into something like this?
I would love to see that happen. I think that is definitely not outside the realm of possibility.
I always want to see like, how are you getting staked? And then 20 years from now, we'll make a movie like Rounders about it.
There you go.
That'd be great.
So I guess then, because this is such a popular genre right now on Twitch, I have to ask the question, traditionally, turn-based games are not the most exciting to watch other people play, but these are super fun to watch. Why do you think that is?
I think there are differences between this and a regular turn-based game, where in a regular turn-based game, you're waiting for each person to take their turn. In this one, you prepare your board, you set up your in-game economy, and then everyone's turn happens at the same time. And you just sort of wait and watch what happens, and if you win or lose, and then you watch the standings on the side of the screen go up and down as people lose and win. So it's a little less, I think it's slower paced than a lot of other games that are out there right now, but it's not as slow as the turn-based games that perhaps we are used to. But there are other things I think that make it especially entertaining, and that is the people that stream it, or the people that are most well known for streaming it right now anyway, are really good at it. Way better than me, way better than anyone that I know personally. And it's super fun to watch someone basically crack this new game genre and game open right in front of your eyes. And you watch their wheels turn, and you watch them come up with the new strategies, the new team comps on the fly. And that's not something that we've experienced, in my opinion, since, I keep referring to Hearthstone, but since Hearthstone first came out, when the experts are on their Twitch streams like, I wonder if this would work. I think this would work really well. That level of theory crafting doesn't happen that often, and that makes it really
everyone just goes to Hearthpone now.
You're right. I mean, or Icy Veins or wherever else.
I was gonna say, to me, it's me and my mom are really into like Words with Friends.
Sure.
And then we both realized I'm not really playing people. I'm playing people who are just going to anagram sites, and that's not fun anymore. And so, is there that component, like, because it's fresh, because it's new right now, we're still finding that human drama of the light bulb click going
I
off?
think definitely partly. I think that
definitely maybe one. You might have said some words.
I would say you may have, something you said there may have made sense. I would say at least I would say at least half of it is probably it's probably just it's new, it's fresh, and anyone can try to theory craft like that.
Right.
But as the games have been maturing, which has been happening very quickly, the developers have been throwing curveballs in and purposefully changing the meta. And this is one of those times, sort of like Fortnite, if I can compare it to a game that's like not even remotely in the same genre, where these developers are going to introduce changes just to introduce changes, not because they need to fix problems. And I think that as long as that regularly happens, there's always going to be a problem to solve. And although these experts may write guides and define the meta, it'll all change like in 2 weeks.
Yeah, these developers have already shown a propensity for building seasons of gameplay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's going to slow down. So I'm hoping it never gets to the point where it's like, for 4 months at a time, this is the meta, and you just do this every game.
Right.
So hopefully it stays fresh.
Nice. All right. Well, I that helps. I'm pretty much an auto battler expert now in AMA.
That makes one of us.
And,
And I most definitely put a note on my computer mid that conversation to check out Teamfight Tactics.
play auto.
So I will be
battler.
doing that.
And that's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
So our last question for this podcast, this show, this live stream: what genre do we think will define 2019? What genre of game? The winning answer in our YouTube poll was the joke response. As soon as we mentioned it in the live stream today, I got several comments from people across the internet.
Yep.
Anything but the Fortnite.
Anything but Fortnite.
But we're going to take it more seriously than that. What has 2019 been all about? Where will it go in its final months? Are we going to stay on the Battle Royale train, looter shooters, something fresh, something new with auto battlers? What's your sense? I mean, Battle Royale obviously has the momentum. There's still people who live, eat, and breathe their BR streams.
Absolutely.
Sure are.
But what are you feeling, especially as you've been kind of digging into a variety of sort of cross-genre play?
Sure. I think that there's a good chance that this year will be remembered for the auto battler. I think that battle royales are kind of going to go in the way of MOBAs, where even if for the next couple of years they're still the most popular game, people might talk about them less just because they're battle royales. We've been playing them for so long.
Right.
That's kind of like what happened with like League. I come from that arena, so League for a while was the most popular game in the world, but everyone stopped talking about it after like 2013-ish, 2014.
Well, and same thing with the rise and trail of WoW.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like when WoW first hit,
Exactly.
everyone was talking about it, and then it continued for decades, but people
Yes.
stopped talking about it.
Exactly. I kind of think Battle Royale will kind of get into that arena. And I think Auto Battlers will be the one that, since it started this year, I can't help but think that it might be what people remember about it.
Although I just got a flurry of comments. Classic WoW. Classic WoW. WoW is back.
Classic WoW, like, very well may do it.
On
And,
its
like,
own.
honestly, it might. But we have to wait and see on that one.
Welcome back, MMORPG.
I saw Wolfton FX in Twitch chat said action adventure will take over this year. You're speaking to my heart, but I don't know if that's the case.
I mean,
I would love to see
I'd be
that.
down if someone could resurrect all my favorite dungeon crawler looter too.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Right,
that could
and-
be good times too.
And then for as much
Diablo 2 remastered.
for as much
Right.
Fortnite trashing, or I should say, lovingly poking, as we've been doing in this stream, there are some people like Stellar Firefly that say, I actually like Fortnite Save the World, but that's me. So to each their own. There's lots of different genres for all types of different gamers out there. I personally think that 2019 Battle Royale will still reign supreme.
I think so.
Those are not my favorite. That's not my favorite genre of game to play. But right
It's a
now,
safe bet.
when you look at the like.
Totally.
I always look at it as if I were just starting a Twitch channel or a YouTube channel right now, playing which genre would skyrocket my channel the fastest. And currently that is still Battle Royale, I would argue.
Or really great dual stick shooters on Android. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
You might be alone on that one. You might,
I'm
you
just
might be alone
saying,
there.
I am wearing out the pads of my thumb on neon chrome. It's really good.
We'll
and I
leave- we'll leave you
believe
to that.
there is also a version of neon chrome on the Switch. So, Runtrat9 says, microtransactions. That's the 2019 genre publishers have been pushing. They're not loot boxes anymore. They're surprise mechanics.
Sure,
See,
surprise
everything's
mechanics.
safe. It's
It's all
great.
safe.
It's good for
Nothing
your
to
kids.
see. Nothing to see here.
Again, I will
Totally.
turn into an eye roll emoji right before your eyes.
Actually, I mean, just real quick before we hit the other comments,
Yes.
if you folks haven't looked it up, there is a new scientific study that came out about loot boxes in games and problems with kids in addictive behavior and gambling.
I was just talking about this on a podcast
Yeah.
yesterday, that maybe we should have some sort of collaboration between the ESRB
Yes.
and loot mechanics, where if a game is specifically made for children, maybe we pull back on the in-game gambling a little
I agree
bit.
with that.
Because I would
Right?
say
it's
if-
fine for adults. We know what we're doing. But
Yes.
when, like, for example, there is an app that my 2-year-old enjoys based on the Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Oh.
There's no words. There's just caterpillar wakes up from nap. Caterpillar eats an apple. I'm gonna get an apple from a tree. Like very, very, very barely need to touch it. Simplistic.
But to get that apple, you
But
gotta roll the
Nope.
die.
If you go one screen past the apple, there's a little balloon cart where you can buy a balloon for your caterpillar with 99 cents real money.
That's
no.
so messed up.
Right.
Oh wow.
Just saying. And
Goodness
like
gracious.
That's
when it's aimed at a certain age,
That's rough.
maybe we
I don't
pull
like
back
that at
on the
all.
surprise mechanics.
No, so this is something I've actually been trying to talk about is ESRB does an amazing job of story content. So if it's gory or adult situations, you get your M rating or your AO. But I don't think anyone would disagree if there's a real world money random number generating event in a video game, like it should be regulated kind of the same way that Vegas slot machines are.
I would say there's a thin line to walk because I think that there are people like us who are adults that play games. We know what we're getting into, and if our ability to blow hundreds of dollars on loot boxes in Overwatch is hindered in any way, that would be unfair. But also that with the Caterpillar app, like that's
rough.
There has to be some kind of regulation. I'm not sure that anyone is near the right answer yet.
So the reason why I want to say ESRB is because we also have a whole new crop of like state politicians that would love to have some say over the content of gaming.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So if the video game industry can't do it themselves, I think the other solution would be way worse.
I agree.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Let's keep it in-house, friends.
Let's just between us would be better. I
That
think.
would be better. Okay, well, we're moving on with the show. So, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for
great.
having me, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
got to
for-
have you on again.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
That's
Talk about
fine.
some of this stuff.
we always like to do that stuff. So, hopefully, more often we'll have more of the Newegg team rotating in and out of the
Yeah.
show because that's what this show is
More
all about.
ninjas.
Yes. So, thank you again, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay!
Okay.
So we are coming up to the end of the show today, sadly. But before we go, we want to make sure everyone knows all about Newegg's Fantastic sale. So let's go ahead and start by rolling that video.
PC Building, gaming laptops, the best in TV and home audio, and everything you need to upgrade your smart home. You can find the best deals on the best tech as part of Newegg's Fantastic sale. Visit newegg.com/fantastic today. Newegg, shopping upgrade.
Oh, right. Okay, so just before we get back into the rest of the show, Fantastic, good times. Next week,
times,
we're going to be seeing one of the biggest, best days of the year if you're looking to save some cash on some new tech. The big sale is going to start on July 15th. So set a reminder on your phone right now. I was about to make the joke of like saying the activation word for Google Assistant and just doing it for you, but that's actually kind of rude. I hate it when people say, and then my phone turns on, so let's not do that.
Yes.
But July 15th, Fantastic.
July 15th.
Newegg.
Where I am going to throw like a just brief interlude in here to let
Yeah.
you guys know we will be announcing the winner before the end of the show. For everyone asking, chat, that will happen.
For the end of the day.
But before the end of the day.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. So back to Fantastic.
Yes.
You will be able to find
Good
a
times.
ton of great deals on the 15th on newegg.com/fantastic.
Fantastic.
Just like fantastic, but with tech at the end.
It's a pun.
There you go. But there are also some early promotions going on right now because it would be hard for this to be in Newegg Now without us being like,
Gotta do
deals.
something.
You got some deals.
Pick you something.
So yes, there are early promotions going on right now. You can check out the link in the description below this video to check out the ones that are currently live.
Yes. So the deals live right now are from ABS, which is Newegg's internal system building crew. And if you saw the AMD launch build on the channel we put out on Monday, That was from ABS. I thought it came out pretty cool. So they've got AMD systems, Intel systems, NVIDIA systems, all the systems. Great gaming gear. It's gonna look awesome. It's gonna perform great. So check that link out in the description below if you're in the market for a new gaming rig and you want it sourced by people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, so that's
that?
fantastic. Don't forget Newegg.com, July 15th. You will not want to miss it.
And before the end of the day, there's the winner for the really awesome rig. That will be announced on the Newegg socials for those of you who've been asking in the live chat.
Yes.
We got you covered. It will be discussed. It will be announced. So that's going to do it for us this week. There's a lot to talk about this week.
Yay.
There's so much more to cover, too. I mean, we're going to have other videos coming out on the Newegg Studios YouTube channel. And remember to click the links in the description below this video for all the new stuff, AMD, NVIDIA. Check out what's going on with the Fantastic presale. It's coming at us fast. You definitely don't want to be left out on all the cool stuff that's happening.
And also, I will say, not this current weekend, but next weekend is San Diego Comic-Con.
Yup.
If anybody is going, have a great time. And also, I will be running around, so come say hi
say
to me
hey.
if you're there. And then, yeah, we'll be back with more great content for you real soon.
Yeah,
So,
good times.
Thanks for watching, everybody. This is Big Newegg Now, and now you know. Bye.
Bam.